Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to do a side-by-side analysis of Algerian gymnast KAYLIA NEMOUR's bar routine from this year compared to KAYLIA NEMOUR's routine last year. The object is to see if there's any quality differences, adjustments, or upgrades she's made as the Olympics grows closer. I've already done an in-depth analysis of KAYLIA's bar routine from the 2023 World Championships, and I'll leave a link to that video in the description. Therefore, this will be a much lighter analysis. These routines are both done in real time, except for two small adjustments I had to make to keep their skills in sync with each other. I'll point those out in the analysis. Alright, let's get started. The dates of performance are labeled in each corner. The left routine is last year, and the right routine is this year. What I found most impressive is how consistent her skills and timing were in each routine I watched. She starts with a kip handstand, and for me it's like watching a mirror. In her inward stalter to Kachev, or Nemour as it's called now, named after her, they look pretty identical, but in the clip to the right she started to lift her head already, so her arch is much more open at this point. I would say her toes are more pointed on the right, so this is an improvement. The catch is slightly closer on the right but causes no noticeable effect on the following sequence. She does this pack salto with such height, elegance, and control. Now look closely, as on the left she does a soul circle putting her feet on the bar, but on the right she brings her feet past the bar into an inside stalter, and this is much more difficult and upgraded. As she throws the bar behind her and reverse hex to the high bar, she has great extension in both routines. On the right, her toes are slightly lower than on the left, but it has no effect on her routine. Both routines hit pre-vertical handstands at the mid-full turn, and it's right here I had to make the first adjustment to keep the routine synchronized. That's only because she was more vertical on the right and stayed in a handstand slightly longer than she did on the left. Up until now, it's been real time. Very similar and clean throughout her stalter reverse hecht or stalter to Kachev. It's a bit more rotated on the left, but on the right, she's also aware that she's a bit closer, so she makes a micro adjustment in the air to not rotate so aggressively, so she has some distance between the bar and her to generate swing into her next skill. And I believe the leg separation can be considered as preparation for the soul circle she's about to do. Or do you think it's a deduction? Let me know in the comments. And now we're back to a beautiful flowing mirror image. She looks to have a small leg separation on the left, but remember, this is slow motion. She continues on with a smooth, clean swing and kip cast to handstand. Both handstands are within a degree or so of each other. She has very deep compression in her inside stalter to a full pirouette. The right handstand is slightly over, more than the left one, and this is where I made the second correction to keep her skills synchronized. And a beautiful mirror image of her double layout to a stick. Just really satisfying and exciting to watch. She's very consistent with this routine in spite of many skills having to be done very accurately in order to move from one skill to the next. I've seen her get off before, like right here in her warm-ups, but she's very good at making micro and real-time adjustments, and this has helped make her consistent. Now let's take a quick look at her floor work. It seems she's upgraded her mount to a double layout. You can see the leg separation much more pronounced from the head-on view, but she does this double layout very easily, so I imagine it will become more clean over time. Her most common previous mount was a round-off layout 1.5 twisting backflip into a round-off flip-flop triple full, or backflip with 3 twists. Some other tumbling passes she has in her repertoire are a tucked full in back out, which is a double backflip with a full twist. She also does a very comfortable tucked Arabian double front flip. She does sometimes get her feet crossed up in her twisting, but she gets the twist around very comfortably. This is cool to me, a layout front flip or a pike layout kick out into a step out round off flip flop double pike. I think it looks cool how she keeps her arms down by her side in her front layout step out. Here are some of her more dynamic dance transitions. It's cool to be able to freeze frame her gymnastics and see how great the split looks. This unique squatted leg double spin has become more popular and is kind of trending in women's gymnastics. Let's move on to some of her beam skills. I love watching this mount, and it really looks aggressive and comfortable to her. Her slender body type makes her acro skills look much bigger and very elegant. To me, beam is a very nerve-wracking event with very little room for air. KAYLIA has been very consistent on beam and appears to be very comfortable in competition. Watching these skills, I get the impression there are many other very difficult skills she is capable of and may add in the future. Again, when you can stop the video, you can see just how free and aesthetic her flexibility is. KAYLIA NEMOUR is a very elegant and aesthetic gymnast, and I look forward to seeing how she develops in the future as she gets stronger. I see a lot of potential in her raising her difficulty level, and her lines and execution are just so nice to watch. So much of whether a gymnast succeeds depends on if they can handle pressure and do that routine in that one moment and one chance that they get. KAYLIA seems very consistent under pressure, and she's very good at making micro adjustments to avoid any major falls. Alright, let's take a much closer look at KAYLIA NEMOUR's tumbling technique compared to Simone Biles and a couple other great tumblers. This is KAYLIA on the left and Simone Biles on the right. They both have good and natural positions here and actually look very similar as they finish their round off. Here we notice a big change. Look how open Simone's shoulder angle is compared to KAYLIA's more closed shoulder angle, and also look how far Simone has left her feet behind. This tells me that Simone has much more speed traveling across the floor and a much longer back handspring. Here again we see KAYLIA's shoulder angle much more closed and her feet are already headed to the ground. Because her feet were faster over her body, they will hit the ground with a very fast and powerful downward motion. Simone is almost fully extended with a nearly straight shoulder angle and has a monster long snap down from her hands to her feet. Just like the power a pole vaulter gets from running fast, Simone is traveling over the distance of the floor at a much faster rate. So when she puts her feet on the floor in her block angle, it's like a pole vaulter being launched straight up and into the air, except Simone is using her body as the pole vault. KAYLIA and Simone's block angle are actually very similar, but Simone appears to stand up much faster here. Remember, KAYLIA is taller than Simone, so this will change their speed and timing a bit, but their takeoff is very similar. Now I do prefer Simone's technique, as I believe it's the best in the gymnastics world right now. But let's take a look at a couple other gymnasts that use a very similar technique to KAYLIA with a lot of success. This is Vladimir Gogoladze, the first gymnast to perform a triple backflip on the floor exercise in Olympic competition. Let's take a look. Here they have similar position, but Gogoladze gets his hands up much faster. Now look at this. Both have closed shoulder angles and are very similar in position. Gogoladze has a very high back handspring and both block angles are very deep, but again, Gogoladze gets his hands up faster. Although they do different skills, the round off back handspring and set with their arms is where they get their power and their height. Here's the last example. This is 1988 gold medalist Valery Liukin, and also the father of Olympic champion Nastya Liukin. He was the first person to compete a triple backflip in competition. Liukin, Gogoladze, and even KAYLIA, to a certain degree, treat their back handspring a little like a whip back. A whip back looks like a high back handspring, but your hands don't actually touch the floor. In these examples, their hands do touch the floor, but their back handsprings are higher than normal. This causes their legs to go over their body at a very fast rate, and they get into their block angle with a lot of power from the speed of their feet coming down from the higher back handspring. It's just a different technique than Simone's. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you got some value and insight from this video. Feel free to like and subscribe and leave any thoughts or suggestions in the comments. Until next time, all my best and rock on.